Context is really important with FileMaker, and when you have customers or folks that come in from a non-FileMaker perspective, maybe they come from a SQL world, maybe Access, something like that. The notion of context is something that's really hard to get their heads wrapped around. So, context agnostic scripting is a fun topic. Take it away.
Context is king, like they say, but I say not always. This is our favorite tips and tricks. This is just a trick I do to save myself some work, to save myself some repetition, and sometimes to be able to create a more consistent user experience. So I'm just going to give you a couple of examples of where I'm using scripts that don't pay attention to the context they're in, to the extent that not only can I use them for multiple purposes within the same file, I can import them from solution to solution to solution and never have to rewrite them, never have to edit them, and they just behave the same way. So one example I use for this, and I've done it for a number of years now, is when I'm doing reporting. I will simply pass a found set of records sorted the right way on the right layout to this script, and it does the rest of the work. So for example, here I've passed it a very nice list of addresses. They're sorted by city. And it's gone through. It's set me up in a layout. It's set it up in the right orientation. It's ready to print. I've even gone through and numbered the pages and got a total number of pages here. It's ready. It's going to ask me, hey, do you want to print this? Do you want to email this? If I choose to email it, it's going to say, do you want to save the attachment to the desktop or not? And so it'll based on that decision, it may save it to the desktop, or it might just throw it in the temporary folder, and then it will create my email for me with my attachment. Just that easy. Now, if I want to apply all that functionality to a different report, even in a different file, all I have to do is use the exact same script, move it over to the other file, and it's ready to go. I don't really need that report. Here's another example of another report in the same file using the same formatting script. This one puts it in portrait orientation, and it doesn't give me the option to email because that's based on the parameters that I sent the script. Just that simple. Let's take a look at the script itself. Here it is. I call it review and print, and this one's set up to take a series of script parameters. I could have used the set assign functions like Eric was describing, and I frequently do, but for this example, I left that part out. But it assumes that I'm being sent a set of variables in an array, and it just does the same thing that the assign function does using a let function. So then I've got all my variables that tell me what to do, and it's just the most straightforward thing in the world. Which orientation do I put it in? Go to preview mode, go to the last page to get the number of pages I got, set a variable to that, come back to the front, put the window to the right size, the right shape, the right place on the screen. And then I'm looking at do I want to print? Do I want to email? And all the rest. Just that simple. It's one of my favorite things to do when I've got reporting to do. I grab this script from wherever I've last used it. I might tweak it a little bit to make it a little better, but I find that it gives me a whole lot of consistency. If I've got a large number of reports in a given solution, I'm able to show the user the same behavior for each report, and they're used to being able to pop it up, see it in a new window. Do I want to print this? Do I want to look through it? And is it ready to go? Is it not ready to go? And they can make their own choices. But then and I don't have to write that behavior again and again and again for each report script. There are other uses for this idea. I've seen it done with window management. I've worked with several solutions where I was following another developer, and they had used the same principle to manage windows. They'd throw a layout and say, okay, now put this in a window, and they had just like several standard window sizes or window locations, and they were using the same principle for managing windows to give consistent user interface behavior to their users. Robert was telling me he's done something similar with managing SQL queries. Where we can use a script. And again, the point of this is to be able to use the same script again and again, where it's not dependent on a specific context to be able to function properly. You can use the same code again and again. Who else has done this sort of thing? What have you used this idea for, Daisy?
For all of the pushing and pulling back and forth to QuickBooks, to different accountings.
Oh yeah, that sort of interface.
So we have to take that and just put it in the new client file. It's having a new client that's going to be
That's a great application. Anybody else?
I think I may have. Could you show me
Yeah, Doug.
one of the print layouts, and I'll be
Sure.
able to tell if I'm doing the same thing or not?
Sure.
Yes, I've used that technique.
Yeah, and all I'm doing is I'm putting it on the layout, finding the set of data, and sorting it, and then I call my script and send it the right.
Okay.
Send it the
So
right.
have you ever done ones where you actually be able to reuse the same report for multiple different data sets, so that you're actually not referring to specific?
We're using multiple reports on the same layout. I have
Yes.
done that, but that's not what this is about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you go about, because if you're using the same script for different reports that are assuming all different contexts, right? So when you define your sort, how are you doing that in a way that is context agnostic?
I'm not. The script that manages the report. Where is that? Here it is. For example, in the first one I was doing, let me go to actual script workplace. The script that calls this does the found set, and it does the sort.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, for example, that is, where was that? Right here. This calls a different script to find the found set, sort it,
Okay.
and then it calls this script to present it.
Okay.
So that's all I've got. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul.